The weekend curfew is about to begin, and the national capital today reported 16,000 cases in the last 24 hours. This has led to a deluge of patients wanting to get admitted at COVID hospitals, but the infrastructure is simply unable to cope up. Patients and their relatives having to run pillar to post from one hospital to another, even though on the government's app it claims that there are beds available. In reality, patients are telling us that they're finding it extremely difficult to find a hospital bed to get treated. Here is our lead story tonight.
Overrun, run out of beds.
मेरी मदर बीमार है, सांस की प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, उनको कोविड पॉजिटिव है।
Doctors and staff scramble to treat the influx of COVID patients at government hospitals as cases peak in the national capital. Delhi's Guru Tegh Bahadur Hospital, a 1,700 bed facility, is packed to capacity. As infections surged, the hospital got overwhelmed in no time. The government app is not up to speed. It shows ample availability of beds though. When probed, doctors and staff says it's all full.
मेरी मदर ब्रदर थोड़ी कोविड पॉजिटिव है, बेड है पॉजिटिव है। पेशेंट को देखनी है, बेड नहीं है। ऐप में तो दोबारा बेड खाली हो, ऐप में तो दोबारा बेड खाली है। मैं आगे क्या पूछ रहा हूँ, उनको बेड खाली है, उसको देखना ना बेड नहीं है। पेशेंट के लिए यहाँ पर भरा हुआ है। डॉक्टर साहब आप बताइए क्या करें? डॉक्टर साहब यहाँ पे बेड नहीं है।
On its part, the Delhi government is racing to turn a number of banquet halls and hotels into makeshift facilities for COVID patients requiring hospitalization. Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal said 5,000 beds are available.
दिल्ली में हॉस्पिटल बेड्स की कमी नहीं है। अभी लेटेस्ट डेटा के हिसाब से 5,000 से ज़्यादा बेड अभी खाली हैं दिल्ली के अंदर। 5,000 से ज़्यादा बेड्स खाली हैं।
But several government-run facilities like this one are outstretched for now. It's crowded at the Rajiv Gandhi Super Speciality Hospital. Looks like an endless wait for a bed. The app, however, says more than half of them are empty. But there are none actually.
मेरी मदर बीमार है, सांस की प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, उनको कोविड पॉजिटिव है।
आप बाहर से बात कीजिए प्लीज। बाहर से बात कीजिए।
बेड है, बेड है, हैं?
बेड नहीं है, आप बाहर से बात कीजिए कि डॉक्टर जो हैं वो पेशेंट से कोई वहाँ गई है देखने के लिए।
बेड है या
बेड नहीं है। मैं भी ये पूछ रहा हूँ बेड है तो बता दें कहाँ एडमिट करो। अभी ये नहीं है यहाँ पे, कुछ नहीं है।
Other staff we spoke to confirmed the hospital has run out of beds.
बेड नहीं खाली अंदर पेशेंट को लाने के लिए। होल्डिंग एरिया में बेड खाली नहीं है। होल्डिंग एरिया में बेड खाली नहीं है। ऊपर भी बेड खाली नहीं है। अब सही करवा देना। मैं तो घर मैं सुबह से हो गया, कभी यूज़ कर रहा कभी यूज़ कर रहा।
A grim situation. A 200-bed Jagpravesh Chandra Hospital is equally overwhelmed. A doctor here told a reporter it's bursting at the seams for both testing and admission.
आपको क्या करवाना है?
टेस्ट करवाना है।
कोविड के टेस्ट हैं मॉर्निंग में आपको शुरू होगा।
उसके बाद नहीं होगा।
अभी नहीं होगी।
वो तो कह रहे थे
किसने कहा?
यही कह रहे हैं।
कौन?
चीफ मिनिस्टर कह रहा है
नहीं, चीफ मिनिस्टर कह रहे हैं, पर ग्राउंड लेवल पे तो हम बता रहे हैं ना वो क्या बात है। और अगर अभी जाके करवाना तो GTP एंड LNGP, दैट आल्सो आई कैन नॉट 100% नहीं बता पाऊंगा।
Aside from efforts to boost capacity, the magnitude of cases from the new wave has inundated the existing infrastructure once again. A report by Special Investigation Teams, Nitin Jain.
So on the one side, you've got the Delhi government claiming that there are 5,000 beds available. The government's apps shows that those beds are available, but our reality check on the ground shows that patients are struggling. And remember, this is not just the national capital. We're also looking at what's happening in Maharashtra. We're looking at what's happening in Gujarat. We're looking at what's happening in Delhi. So I want to go across at this time to first and foremost Dr. Arvinder Singh Soin. He's at the Medanta Hospital in the capital. Representing the AAP government, we have the Vice Chairperson of the Delhi Jal Board, Raghav Chadha. We have Sambit Patra representing the BJP. Later, for perspective from Mumbai, we have Dr. Jaleel Parker. He's a pulmonologist at the Leelavati Hospital. And when we go to Gujarat, we'll have Surbhi Madan. She's at the Infectious Diseases Department of the CIMS Hospital in Ahmedabad. First to Raghav Chadha, can you explain this seeming mismatch between the claims of your government about the availability of beds and our ground report, which shows that patients are struggling and finding it exceedingly difficult to be able to find a bed to get admitted to, given that there have been 16,000 patients of COVID in just the last 24 hours?
So Rahul, I have not had the opportunity of watching your ground report. However, from what little I've gathered from your initial question, I must say that of course that the entire system, the entire medical infrastructure in Delhi and across the country is absolutely overwhelmed. However, the only state in the country to have put out a real-time monitoring of bed availability happens to be Delhi. I'm not saying that there cannot be any glitches in the mobile application. There could be. Even last year around the same time, you guys had pointed out certain glitches which we had fixed subsequently. However, even now the mobile application shows that roughly 30 to 35% beds are available in Delhi out of the 15,000 total number of hospital beds. I am not even referring to the beds that we have made available in banquet and hotels, but these are beds in which high flow oxygen, BiPAP, ventilator, etc. are available, and 30 to 35% of which are still vacant. However, it takes time for a hospital to update the mobile application, the back end of the app, because the flow of patients is absolutely continuous, and there is a certain time lag which there is a practical difficulty that the hospitals are facing. The Chief Minister yesterday in his address and also through a letter has instructed all hospitals, government or private hospitals, to ensure that real-time updation of the app takes place. However, there are certain hospitals where there are abysmal number of beds that are available or no beds available, but there are equal number of, or probably more number of hospitals where bed availability is there. Of course, every person wishes to, certainly in Delhi who has certain paying capacity wishes to go to a Max or Apollo or a Fortis. However, certain of these hospitals are packed, are full, but at the same time you have government-run facilities, you have several other small hospitals where appropriate medical infrastructure is there, COVID treatment equipment is there, as well as bed availability is there. Now, the government of Delhi, Rahul, is conducting roughly 1 lakh COVID tests every day, 75% of which is RT-PCR. We are extremely transparent with our numbers, whether it's the testing number, whether it's the bed availability, and Arvind Kejriwal ji is the only Chief Minister who shows up every morning, every day to speak to his Delhiites, to speak to his people and gives them the real facts and figures. No hiding, no number crunching, no window dressing, the exact crystal clear picture. Having said that, I think the need of the hour, apart from augmenting the healthcare facility, Rahul, is, and I'm pretty sure you would agree with me, is vaccination, the Suraksha Kavach. We were told, jab tak dawai nahi, tab tak dhilai nahi. Now we have a life-saving drug in the form of a vaccine. However, vaccine has also run out of stocks. You have states where the vaccine shortage has started showing up. One state has 3 days stock, the other has 4 days vaccine stock left. And you have a situation where the government of India has exported 64.5 million doses of vaccines, life-saving drugs to more than 84 countries. I think the government of India must explain this, certainly not indulge in this vaccine diplomacy and inoculate every single Delhiite and every single Indian. We have to ensure
so let
that
Sambit Patra respond to what you're saying. You've broadly said that yes, the system is overwhelmed, and that's because there are so many cases coming in. You're also claiming that you're transparent with your data, and you're questioning why we were exporting vaccines, denying to Indian citizens the Suraksha Kavach, which could have saved them, while the Prime Minister and his government, and Sambit Patra will respond to it, was busy trying to do vaccine diplomacy. The Aam Aadmi Party government in the capital throwing the blame in your direction. Dr. Patra.
See, Rahul, the last thing that in fact the 3 panelists, apart from the 2 politicians that you have tonight, would like to hear is throwing of muck at each other. I mean, they are corona warriors. They have been fighting for people, and in fact millions of people who have been affected, who have lost their family members. The last thing that they expect is politicization of this whole thing. Well, yes, India has done good. India still isn't wanting that, because we need to improve the system still better. And as far as all states are concerned, let us be competitive for better. Let's not be competitive in politicization. That, well, yes, but Delhi is the only state with the only chief minister who does this and this and this, while Maharashtra and other chief ministers are bad, while Gujarat chief minister is bad, Delhi chief minister shows every morning. Absolutely not required, because there is a sting operation right now being aired on your channel, and the primary question was on the sting operation, that despite Mr. Kejriwal claiming that there are such many numbers of seats which are vacant and the app is very helpful, we see that, well, yes, the app is not very helpful, it is misleading. Well, yes, my good friend from Aam Aadmi Party may be absolutely right, because there is overwhelming cases, and I understand that the apps might crash also. But to say that other states are not doing good and we are the only ones who have the right of riding the moral high horse is something which the people of this country would not like. As far as vaccination is concerned, again, I'm sorry to state, when the vaccination starts, remember, these are unprecedented times. Unprecedented scenarios were followed. You know, Covaxin was given, in fact, it was used for emergency use. An application for emergency use was made in this case. Then most of these opposition parties are politicizing, said that it is almost akin to water. Do we need to take Covaxin? And there are 2 states, Punjab in particular and in Chhattisgarh, in which the officials came out with letters saying that they would not be using Covaxin. And lo and behold, today, suddenly they say that we need vaccines. Well, yes, there are. I mean, in fact, today's newspapers have come out with the tabulation. They have come out with a tabulation as to what is a vaccine dose. Delhi has approximately 5,65,953 vaccines still in pending. That's the pending number. We have the pipeline thing also. Please utilize your vaccine as of now. And who says that the vaccines are in shortage? Once this vaccine, which is already pending, you utilize that, Rahul, you will have fresh supply. So rather than this throwing muck game, for God's sake, let's work together. Let's listen to the corona warriors who are giving up their everything to fight for us.
Rahul, may I respond very briefly on the vaccine point?
Okay, before I go across to the doctors, very quickly, Raghav Chadha, counter.
I don't wish to politicize this either, Rahul, but the fact is that Odisha has run out of vaccines. More than 700 vaccine centers are shut. In Maharashtra, hundreds across the state. Hundreds and hundreds of vaccination centers are shut. In UP, vaccination centers are shut. In Delhi, we have stock of only 5 days that is left. And you have an arbitrary eligible criteria which literally eliminates roughly 65 to 70% of India's population from getting vaccinated. What we need is, number 1, vaccine universalization. Universalize it for all. Anyone who's above the age of 18 must be inoculated, must be vaccinated without any underlying medical conditions, without any age barriers. And this will also take care of vaccine hesitancy and vaccine wastage. And the second that you need is vaccine nationalism. Forget about people of Kenya, Uganda, Nigeria, Pakistan, Bangladesh. Inoculate your own citizens. Don't go after global goodwill and vaccine diplomacy at this hour. We're in a state of a pandemic. We are losing lives. Vaccinate every Indian before indulging in this vaccine diplomacy and exporting it to other countries. Indians need vaccines more than anyone else. It is the people of India
so
that
Dr. Soin,
and not the people of Nigeria.
Dr. Arvinder Soin, explain politics aside, the situation in your hospital, explain what you're hearing, and most importantly, I'm concerned only about patients, I'm concerned about the relatives. We are getting frantic calls from people saying kuch kara do, bharti kara do, oxygen supply nahi hai, my relative is dying, we are struggling from one hospital to another. How should people who are listening to you at this time be dealing with this unprecedented crisis?
Rahul, unfortunately, I have to say that the situation is very grim. The hospitals are generally inundated with crowds of both non-COVID patients and COVID patients who need admission. However, I agree with Mr. Chadha that there may be other hospitals apart from the mainstream 6 or 7 hospitals which may have beds. So people shouldn't only look at major big hospitals when they need COVID care. They should go through the lists that are widely available on websites and online and actually rush to help wherever it is available, not just big hospitals. That's one. The second thing that needs to be done is that you shouldn't panic as soon as you test positive. If you're asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic, you should please stay at home. This is my request to everyone, because what that's going to do is it's going to set you in a state of panic. It's going to get your doctors in a state of panic. You're going to crowd up hospitals. You don't need to be there. There are clear defined criteria of what you need to do when you're at home. You should opt for remote care, online care. And then only if the fever is not subsiding beyond 7 days, if you're breathless, if the oxygenation is less than 94 continuously, it's only then that you need to get to hospital. So please do not crowd hospitals, and please let patients who have severe COVID be cared for so that we can save their lives. The other thing is that all of us, the healthcare workers, have really risen to the occasion, not just in my hospital, every hospital, because most of us are vaccinated. We are emboldened and we are out there trying to save as many people as we can. But we need responsible behavior from everyone. No crowds at all at any cost. And everyone must do the social vaccine, which is often repeated, which everybody knows.
Okay, so we've spoken for a bit about the national capital. I want to shift attention now to Gujarat, and I want to show you how there are reports coming in of serious underreporting, where the number of deaths in hospitals in Gujarat, in some of these hospitals individually, is higher than what the state is claiming is the net number of deaths in the entire state of Gujarat. This has become a big issue in the state of Gujarat. People upset with the government for underreporting the number of deaths in a bid to make it seem as if the situation is better than it actually is. But the fact is that dead bodies don't lie. Gopi Manyar with this report from Gujarat.
Counting the dead. Fatalities tear through this large 1,200-bed civil hospital in Ahmedabad. Morgues are overwhelmed. Vans turned into hearses drew in and out. Mourners grieve.
मेरी भाभी को 3 दिन पहले लेके आए थे रात को, उनको ऑक्सीजन सांस लेने में दिक्कत हो रही थी, तो क्या नाम से यहाँ पे एडमिट किया रात को, और उसके बाद में मॉर्निंग में बात हुआ। 3 दिन से हम कंटिन्यूस फॉलो कर रहे हैं, बोले एकदम अच्छा है। कल वीडियो कॉलिंग किया, उन्होंने हंसते हुए बात किया कि भाई अभी मुझे कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, अब मुझे छुट्टी, उन्होंने ऐसे कहा कि मुझे घर ले जाओ, कल ऐसा बोल दिया हमको। और अभी आज मॉर्निंग में उनका फोन आया है हॉस्पिटल से, क्या है डेड बॉडी ले जाओ। अब क्या हुआ ये सब कोई भी इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं है।
Crematories in the neighborhood are packed to capacity. Anger is palpable.
सरकार का बस और कुछ नहीं है, ये रुपये कमाने, सरकार की तिजोरी खाली हो गई है, लोगों को मार मार के अंग बेच के पैसा कमा रही है बस। हम बोल रहे हैं।
The distressing images from one hospital in Gujarat belie the official numbers of the COVID dead across the state. As we stood outside Ahmedabad's civil hospital on Thursday, we saw 10 to 12 bodies being moved out every hour. In 6 hours, we had counted more than 50 corpses.
People waiting for us to transport the body of their loved one, some even willing to share the dead body van. The situation on the ground suggests that the actual toll could be a lot higher.
Authorities, however, deny undercounting the COVID dead. They claim deaths are labelled COVID or non-COVID per set protocols.
ये जो हमारे यहाँ से जो डेड बॉडी डिस्पोजल होता है वो ICMR की गाइडलाइंस के हिसाब से होता है. तो जो भी डेड बॉडी होता है वो कोविड प्रोटोकॉल से उसको हम उनके संबंधी को देते हैं. तो उसके हिसाब से ये आप बोल रहे होंगे, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ जो कोविड पॉजिटिव प्योरली और कोमॉर्बिड कंडीशन के साथ है वो जो ऑफिशियल है वही आंकड़ा है.
On April 14th, Gujarat officially declared 73 COVID deaths for the day, most of them from Ahmedabad and Surat. But a day later, crematories are seen grappling with the surge of bodies coming in.
जस्ट 2-3 दिन पहले ही कोरोना का जस्ट पॉजिटिव आया, सिविल में एडमिट किया. विदिन 24 में मेरी चाची डेथ हो गई. और आई थिंक मेरे को इतना 53 या 54 नंबर था मेरे चाची का.
The caseload has snowballed exponentially. From 301 new infections recorded on a single day on February 25th to 7,410 on April 14th. Gujarat's total COVID fatalities near 5,000 since the start of the outbreak last year. But these grim pictures perhaps shed light on what could be the state's own hidden toll of the pandemic. With Gopi Manyar Ghangar in Ahmedabad, Bureau Report, India Today.
Dr. Surbhi Madan works on infectious diseases in Ahmedabad. Dr. Madan, what do you make of this charge being levelled that there is severe underreporting of cases? It's being reported widely all across the Gujarati media, and the government's denial, they're claiming that there is no underreporting, whereas in each hospital, as journalists stand there, they count the number of bodies coming in over 24 hours. The physical count is more than what the state is declaring for the entire state. That simply doesn't add up.
Yeah, hi. So we all know what's happening. We are seeing with our own eyes. We were not expecting that the condition will become so overwhelming, and the health sector was not ready. Basically, the hospitals were not ready to deal with the situation. Suddenly, the load has increased so much that we are not ready with the oxygen, with the ventilators, and even the ICU beds. So the capacity of the hospitals, it cannot match the burden of the population who is suffering from COVID right now. Now, I'm a clinician. I'm not the right person to comment on the government figures and everything. But we can see people dying in front of our eyes. I work in a private hospitals. When I have many deaths, every day, I can expect what would be happening in the government setups and, in the government hospitals, as you showed in your video. What happens is whenever patients die of COVID, they have some or the other comorbidity like hypertension, diabetes, and what happens then is that rather than labeling that death as COVID, that death is labeled as a death because of the comorbidity. So that is how the figures may get altered, but everybody can see that people are dying like anything because of COVID.
No, but that is against the COVID protocols, because no matter what comorbidity you may have had, if you've had COVID at the time of your death, it's supposed to be reported, Dr. Patra, as a COVID-related death. Now, how do you respond to this charge being levelled against your state government in Gujarat? You were questioning what the Kejriwal government is doing in the centre, but the fact is, sir, that your government in Gujarat is facing charges of very seriously underreporting the number of deaths.
No, Rahul, these are charges after all, because as far as death in COVID is concerned, I believe there are charges against the Delhi government also. There are charges against Maharashtra government also about under-reporting of these cases, under-testing of these cases. But let's not have politicization of the whole issue only on allegations, because only a short while from now, the Chief Minister of Gujarat, in fact, faced an interview in a private channel and logically answered as to why these figures are right. An ICMR guideline was spoken about. So I firmly believe, well, yes, as a reporter, I mean, as a news channel, you should be showing what the truth is. But I believe the ICMR guidelines are being followed. Secondly, and most importantly, as far as Gujarat is concerned, as far as other states are concerned, today, in fact, the newspapers have come out with the caseload in all the states. Maharashtra leading with 39.60%, Uttar Pradesh with 8.27%, Chhattisgarh 7.76%, Karnataka 6.15%, Kerala 4.08%, and rest of the country accounts for 34.14%. So most of the load, in fact, the hotspot of the country's corona spread is mostly Maharashtra. So I firmly believe we have to contain Maharashtra, we have to contain Gujarat as well, and all those states which are contributing largely to this corona pandemic right now.
Okay, so let's go across then to Maharashtra and show you what's happening in Mumbai, where we went into some of these hospitals which are very badly impacted at this time, with lots of patients coming in. We looked at the picture in the national capital. We've seen what's happening in Ahmedabad. Now let's show you what's happening in the country's financial capital.
First, a scrub suit. On top of it, the PPE. Add to it 2 pairs of surgical gloves, 2 face masks, goggles, and a face shield. Taking abundant precaution, we entered the COVID facility.
The COVID situation in Mumbai continues to remain grim. There are around 150 COVID hospitals, which include many jumbo facilities as well. We are in the Nesco Jumbo COVID facility in the suburban area of Goregaon. From this very place, we are now going to get you the ground report.
Nesco is among the 6 jumbo COVID-19 field hospitals in Mumbai. It has 2,015 beds and an ICU capacity of 200 beds. 210 doctors are on duty in various wards. 11 consultants in ICU. 138 RMOs, with 730 ward boys among other staff. The Nesco Center is one of the biggest facilities in the city. Inside the facility, we spoke to patients for their account of the situation. Vikas Soni, a businessman from Sion in Mumbai, he chose the government facility over a private hospital, knowing fully well getting a bed would not be an easy task.
The doctors will be there on time to time food, time to time medication, time to time checkups, the oxygen level checkups, the sugar level checkups, each and everything. They are done in a cyclical manner, so there is no problem at all.
How would you rate this facility at the Nesco ground in Goregaon?
I'll say 5 star. I'll give 5 star.
As cases rise in Mumbai, many have complained of shortage of beds. The BMC claims it is citizens who prefer private facilities who are facing such issues. They say the search for a bed in a private hospital also delays treatment sometimes.
अच्छे से देखभाल हो रही थी, सब अच्छा चल रहा था, लेकिन जो उनके पिताजी थे वो हर बार हमको बोल रहे थे कि मैं ये पेशेंट को बाहर लेना चाहता हूँ, मुझे बाहर लेके जाना है, आप इनको डिस्चार्ज दीजिए। हमने उनको बहुत समझाया, अच्छे से ट्रीटमेंट चल रही है, एवरीथिंग सब कुछ मिल रहा है, लेकिन वो जिद पकड़ के रहे। हमने बोला ठीक है आप ले जा सकते हैं, और वो लेकर गए। अभी मैं आपको बताऊं, यही फादर ने मुझे कल फोन किया, मैडम मैं गलत था, आप जो कह रही थी वो एकदम सही था, प्लीज मेरे डॉटर को वापस ले लीजिए।
The dean maintains the facilities are among the best in the city and they have no shortage of beds or remdesivir injections.
बीएमसी की तरफ से, अथॉरिटीज की तरफ से बहुत सपोर्ट है। हमारे यहाँ पूरा स्टॉक है रेमडेसिविर का, टोसिलिजुमैब, ऑक्सीजन का, फेविफ्लू, ओसेल्टामेर या जो भी ब्लड थिनर्स हैं, पूरा स्टॉक सप्लाई है।
BMC says that there is a mechanism already in place with which a patient gets the bed through ward war room. In any other situation, that is, if the patient goes directly to the hospital, a bed will not be allocated. BMC also says that there are many people who insist on going to the private hospitals or hospitals of their choice. That has only resulted in shortage of beds in the last many days. BMC also says that in many jumbo facilities and the hospitals like this one at Nesco in Goregaon, there are beds in abundance and that there are enough facilities as well.
There is, however, no denying that medical oxygen has become a concern for almost all COVID-19 hospitals in the city. While the administrators say there is enough backup, the ward boys have different story to tell.
फिलहाल ये हफ्ते से बहुत कमी है इधर नेस्को में। अभी तो ऐसा सिचुएशन है कि पेशेंट्स को हम लोग निकाल के कहां से ऑक्सीजन अवेलेबल कर रहे हैं। तो अभी भी एक पेशेंट है जो 6 लीटर्स पर मिनट के ऊपर ऑक्सीजन का लेवल उनका चालू है और ऐसे बोला गया है कि अभी वो लास्ट सिलेंडर है। अगर उनको नहीं मिला तो बोल नहीं सकते कि उनका क्या होगा इधर।
India Today also went inside the ICU ward for a reality check. The ICU at Nesco Center is filled to capacity. Even the 200 beds here at this jumbo facility seem to be falling short.
BMC says that the count of cases in Mumbai has stabilized between 8,000 to 10,000 cases. But the next 15 days are going to be very, very crucial, and that each and every Mumbaikar needs to strictly abide by the COVID safety rules. With camera person Mahesh More, this is Pankaj Upadhyay reporting from the ICU facility of Nesco Goregaon in Mumbai.
Dr. Jaleel Parker is at the Leelavati Hospital. We've seen this report from Mumbai. Explain what you're seeing around you, Dr. Parker. How bad is the situation? What's your advice to people in Mumbai who are looking at this report and are very concerned about the availability of hospital beds?
Mr. Rahul, first of all, I would like to let you know that for the last 30 minutes, I've been sitting here patiently, waiting for an opportunity to talk. So please do not cut me off while I speak and give me some time to explain. I've been hearing all our panelists, etc., on this channel right now for nearly half an hour, but I would like everybody to know that let us forget about the statistics. Let us forget about the diplomacy that each government has with other governments, because that was one of the discussion that took place earlier in this program. One has to understand that every federal government has to maintain certain international relationships. So there is nothing wrong if they are maintaining in a particular way, because that's not our prerogative. Our prerogative as doctors is to see to it that you treat the patient, keep him alive, and send him home back to his relatives. The question here is, are we able to do that, or are we finding difficulties in doing that? And according to me, I think we are finding it very difficult to do that because of reasons of non-availability of beds, non-availability of drugs, life-saving drugs like remdesivir, like tocilizumab, oxygen, and most of all vaccination, and even RT-PCR testing. Now you cannot start treatment for COVID on a patient unless you prove that he has COVID-19. We have now for the last 1 week realized that patients are not getting their reports for 4 days. So why aren't we talking about all these issues? We are not statisticians. Statistics comes later. Right now, what I want to do is to save a patient's life, because you cannot keep on seeing the fear of death in his eyes and the pleadings that he keeps on saying again and again. So let us all rise above this occasion, and let us all see to it that how we can help in getting beds, how we can get help in giving them oxygen, how we can get
no,
help
so what's the solution?
in giving them
What you're
vaccination,
saying, so what you're saying is absolutely logical, Dr. Parker. What's the solution that you have to offer? How should some of these questions that you're raising be answered?
See, I'm a physician who's on the war front. It is not me who has to find the solutions. The solutions have been has to be found in the corridors of power. I'm sorry, I don't have time. I don't have breathing time for myself. I don't have time. My colleagues don't have time. My nursing staff, my attendants, my technicians, we don't have time. It's 1 year and we still are struggling. We are giving our best. We have all become sick time and again. We have gone on leave. We have come back. Again, we are struggling to see to it that we save lives. So that's not my prerogative, and I don't have time to see all this. What I'm asking and what I'm pleading, and I think all the physicians on this channel and all those who are seeing us in India today should understand that we physicians, our only job is to see that we save lives, to see that medicines are available, to see that vaccinations are available, oxygen is available. Rest all is of no consequence to me as a physician.
Now,
So
this
please
is
don't
where
keep on asking me, what is
the
solution?
political
What is the
parties need to
solution?
answer. And I want to put that question to Sambit Patra, because I can feel your anguish. I can feel your anguish.
Let
I
me
can
complete.
feel your concern.
Let me
And
complete.
the concern, Dr. Patra, is okay. I must listen to you. Yes, go on, sir.
Rather than questioning us, it is time that you question the people in the corridors of power who are supposed to release these medications, who are supposed to release these vaccinations, who are supposed to release oxygen, who are supposed to release beds. Please, for God's sake, don't politicize it. I am requesting you, and I don't know, I am tired of requesting that please see to it that we get these so that we can save our brethren, our own citizens. For God's sake, how many times do you all want me to plead?
I
The
feel
other
your
day,
anger.
one of the panelists called me a doglebaz. What do you mean by? The other day, a panelist called me doglebaz. What does she mean by calling me a doglebaz?
So I want to
I've
go
given
across
my
to Dr.
life and
Sambit Patra now.
and I'm again into
Dr. Patra, now respond to the fervent anguish and anger of Dr. Parker. And the question that's being asked by many is whether the government got complacent after cases started falling towards the end of September till February. You know, we started thinking that the worst was behind us and we didn't prepare for a worst case scenario. How do you respond to the charge that the government got complacent and they thought that they'd overcome the crisis, and therefore now we're dealing with a crisis which we haven't frankly prepared for?
Rahul, I agree with what Dr. Parker had to say, and his anguish is palpable and quite justifiable as well. And so let me answer him point to point earnestly. Oxygen requirement, vaccination, and the essential drugs like remdesivir, etc. Oxygenation. Today, as you are aware, the Prime Minister held a meeting as far as oxygen requirement is concerned, and for the confidence sake, so that the people build up confidence within themselves, I need to mention these 3 or 4 quick points. Number one, the PM today said that all the oxygen facility in fact would be working 24/7 to see to it that oxygen production is increased to 7,127 metric tons at the earliest. Secondly, the country in fact would be importing 50,000 metric tons of medical oxygen at the earliest. Most of the states, which have industrial units like Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, etc., they have been guided, all the steel plants, etc., which have their industrial oxygen supply, that would be diverted for the medical use. For instance, in Maharashtra, it would be the JSW steel plant which would be diverting its oxygen, and in Chhattisgarh, the SAIL has been directed that all its steel plant oxygen should be diverted for medical purpose and their production be stopped as of now. 162 pressure swing adsorption units, PSA plants, that would be immediately made functional so that there's no discrepancy, there's no deficiency of oxygen oxygen, even in the remote areas, a number of other things which the Prime Minister has in fact gone ahead with. Similarly, as far as remdesivir is concerned, you're all aware that since the drugs requirement had drastically come down after the first phase, the production was in fact brought down initially. Now that we have a second phase, no one expected this, of course. Now that we have a mutant strain, a second phase, in fact, immediately these companies have been the companies have been told to come up with the manufacture of remdesivir, which they have already started, and soon we would be seeing that the clutches of the government is going to take quite tightly on all those who are busy with black marketing, etc., and there would be no dearth of remdesivir. As far as vaccination is concerned, while we are having this debate, there is a release which in fact the ANI has come up with. That's
Rahul, may I, Raghav this side, may I just...
I was just completing.
Okay, Raghav, I'm out of time, but I have only 30 seconds to give you.
Next month.
Look, Rahul, there is something called as the Disaster Management Act, which is in force. By virtue of that act and the enactment, the enforcement of the provisions of that act, the entire powers are now centralized in the union government, and all policy decisions, whether it's manufacturing of remdesivir, import of hydrochloroquine, administration of vaccine, are taken by the central government and adopted by the state. So center government certainly has to play the role of a big brother, number one. Number two, you see, I just wish to give one example, the example of United States, and conclude my argument, which is that USA, a country with 300 million population, has procured vaccines for 600 million people. They can vaccinate their entire population twice over. They have entered into future contracts with Pfizer, Moderna, etc. So this shows that here is a country which has made complete arrangements to vaccinate its entire population. On the other hand, being a leading manufacturer of vaccines, India is hell-bent on exporting vaccines. We have vaccinated less than 3% of India's population.
So we've had an opportunity to discuss different issues. We've had an opportunity also to show you ground reports from Delhi, from Ahmedabad, from Mumbai. The situation is not looking good anywhere. The whole idea is to raise awareness, to put pressure on the corridors of power so that more facilities are made available, and so that if we have to deal with a crisis, at least we try and move heaven and earth to prepare ourselves, even though it's already very late. We'll slip into a break. I'll have more for you when we come back. On the other side of a quick break, we'll look at what's happening in Haridwar, where there have been 600 COVID cases reported in the last 24 hours. The seers are now divided over whether the Kumbh Mela should be curtailed. More details on the other side. Stay with us. Hello everyone, this is Rahul Kamal here. Hope you enjoyed this video. For the latest news and analysis, like and subscribe the India Today YouTube channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon to stay updated.